Hey, I'm Ryan Lagod.
And I'm Craig Tovey.
And welcome to Storytime with Ryan Lagod.
And Craig Tovey.
Stop! Subscribe time! Go click that button.
Subscribe now. Woo!
Stop! Story time.
Remember, if you want to support our show and get a bunch of extra stuff, all you got to do is go to
patreon.com/RyanandCraig
and become a member of the Ryan and Craig reading crew. Today, speaking of today, Craig.
Yay.
Okay, today's book is The Mitten
by Jan Brett.
Let's get started.
You're going to be smitten by The Mitten.
The Mitten
by Jan Brett. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow.
At first, his grandmother, Baba, did not want to knit white mittens.
If you drop one in the snow,
she warned,
you'll never find it.
But Nicky wanted snow white mittens, and finally, Baba made them.
Well, thank you for the concern, Baba, but they're going to be on my hands. I think they'll be fine.
Yes, we understand white mittens in the white snow might get lost to some, but not to us, all right? And not to Nicky. The only thing I ever lose is...
Your train of thought?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, that was it, yes.
Mittens go on my hands. Am I going to lose my hands?
We're gonna be good.
Probably not.
We're good, Baba.
Thanks, Baba.
After she finished, she said,
When you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look to see if you still have your snow white mittens.
So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind.
First time for everything. A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay.
A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wiggled in, feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over.
Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. Okay, we lost the mitten, all right. You were right, Baba.
Thank you, Baba.
Okay, But you know what? Silver lining, this became a cozy little hangout for some woodland creatures, you know?
It is getting a little cramped in here though, so I would say no more vacancy in this mitten.
Yeah, good as is.
Thank you, Baba.
Thank you, Baba. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in.
Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left. But when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. Getting a little tight.
A little snug, okay?
A little tight here.
We're good as is.
No more vacancy. Yeah, thank you, Baba.
Baba! It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotting by stopped to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in. When the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room.
A great bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be, but what animal would argue with a bear? The mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and bulged to many times its size, but Baba's good knitting held fast.
Along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. She wriggled into the one space left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose.
The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Achoo! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. Whoa! They're scattered.
Yeah, I hate to say it, Ryan, but we warned you.
We told you so.
You've taken our cozy little mitten hangout and ruined it with too many animals.
We, as your elders, knew what could happen, and that's why it's very important to take your elders' advice and really listen to them.
Like we did with Baba. Still teaching us lessons after all these years.
We're sorry, Baba.
Sorry, Baba. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was the lost mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. As he ran to catch his snow-white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he still had his new mittens. I'm looking at my knitting, I'm holding the mitten.
Nicky is sitting, holding our kitten.
Did I warn him enough? You know I tried and tried.
It's obviously an animal stuffed inside.
This one obviously had animals stuffed inside.
A lot of animals.
Mittens.
The Mitten.
By Jan Brett.
And now it's time for Shoutouts! Let's get shouting!
And remember, if you want to book your very own personal video message from us to you, just go to
READ-ALOUD.
Now let's get to the shoutouts.
Let's do it. William Penn Elementary School, Monongahela, Pennsylvania. I tried my best. I'm doing
I think you did great.
Monongahela? Monongahela. That is a word I've never said before.
Mrs. White's first and second grade class, Stratford, California.
Mrs. Jenke's fourth grade class at CCDS in Chico, California. Hi, Lisa.
You know him.
Yes, I had a Ken for me.
Hey.
I took pictures of their wedding.
Miss Dimmer's kindergarten class.
Mrs. Bodegheimer's first grade class, Lanoka Harbor, New Jersey.
Mrs. Ramsey's social study classes, Ypsilanti, Michigan.
The kindergarten class at River Grove Elementary in Stillwater, Minnesota.
When people asked them, do you want to live in still water or sparkling water? They chose still. No burps.
Cheaper.